Omega level mutants. We've all heard this term before. We all understand that if you are labeled as an Omega level mutant, you are probably one of the most powerful beings in the known universe, or at the very least on planet Earth. The term Omega level to describe power has always been so fascinating for me because I believe in the DC universe, there are so many characters who are on an Omega level scale. Taking the context of what an Omega level is for Marvel, we need to tweak it a little bit for what it will mean in DC. If you look up on the X-Men fandom page what an Omega level mutant is, this is what it says. Omega level mutants are mutants whose dominant power is deemed to register or reach an undefinable upper limit of that power specific classification. And then at the bottom it says, for example, while Jean Grey is both a telepath and a telekinetic, she is only an Omega level telepath. For DC, because I do tend to find that sometimes DC's power scaling is super high, it extends Marvel in certain situations, I'm going to somewhat change the Omega scaling in the sense that these characters don't necessarily need to be Omega in one certain thing. They can be an Omega in everything. Basically, who they are, the abilities they have, everything attuned to them can be an Omega level threat, if you will. And a big reason why I am changing the context of Omega in this certain situation, because a lot of the characters I have on this list, they just have so many powers that if one power is ramped up to an Omega level, all their other powers would join that as well. So the first two characters on this list that I don't know if it's cheating in a way, you can maybe view them as honorable mentions if you'd like. Dr. Manhattan and the Spectre. They are the epitome of gods, omnipotence. They both can essentially do whatever they want. Like literally whatever they want. That's not an exaggeration. All this crazy upscaling power stuff. They are an Omega level in the sense of power they hold and what they can do. Maybe it is a little unfair to put them on this list considering they are not any ordinary character. They are, like I said, at the very top of the totem pole when it comes to godlike nature. So like I said, honorable mention. If you want to count them, you can. If not, you don't have to. So the first real character I will start with here that is the highest potential of being an Omega level, it's Darkseid. I don't want to bore you guys because I gush over Darkseid any chance I get. He's my favorite DC villain of all time. But everything about him is an Omega level threat. It might even be cheating almost using him as an example too, because he's a god in his own right too. He's capable of doing things that aren't even imaginable. There is a reason, as I've said before, why he's no longer just solidified to the new gods, old gods world. Why he's no longer just known as a Superman only villain. There's a reason why he is a Justice League, planetary, galactic, universal threat. Now, within the context of an Omega level mutant, if there was anything about Darkseid that only one power could be elevated to the max beyond classification, it would be his Omega beams. Nobody else has the Omega beams, and if they do, they certainly cannot use it the way he does, and it would not have the power input. You could also make an argument for the anti-life equation, but I do believe that's more a property of the universe, and he is the one that is utilizing it. But I won't dive too farther down into Darkseid. You guys all know what he's capable of. I know what he's capable of. The next character I would go with, simply put, is Superman. I don't know how he would not be an Omega level character in DC Comics. This character, probably at the end of the day, would be known to have some of the craziest, most insane feats of any character in history, potentially even more than Batman. The guy has moved planets on chains. He's lifted the heavens, which apparently has vast amounts of more mass than the universe does, and it has actually been classified as an infinite level of strength. If you could only choose one power that Superman would have go Omega, it would probably be his super strength. But with his super strength will come his durability. With his heat ray will come his X-ray vision. With his flight will come his speed. That's why I think it's a little too difficult with these DC characters to pin them down by one power. If they're Omega all in all. Realistically, Superman could punch a planet and probably not even full strength, maybe half strength, and he could more than likely implode that planet and destroy it. Someone of Superman's status, he would potentially even redefine what an Omega level character is, or even create a tier above Omega. Now, following Superman's footprints is going to be Superboy Prime. He is another Omega level character and 100% an Omega level threat, most importantly. Superboy Prime, not once, but twice, has actually changed the reality of the multiverse through his punches. The first was Infinite Crisis, when he punched so hard he created a ripple effect across the entire multiverse. And the second was most recently in the Dark Knight Metal series. He was in a fight with a couple of Supermen, and he punched one of them so hard that he literally saw the reality of that character change. If you can obtain that type of power, I don't see how you're not an Omega level character. And I also put up a poll about this on my community post, but he's taken on the Batman Who Laughs and beat him as well. He is arguably one of the most powerful characters in the DC multiverse. I also have Doomsday on this list, a character who can go toe-to-toe with Superman and Darkseid, and has even resulted in killing Superman in their very first matchup. Another character who, the more punishment he goes through, he only gets stronger, and if he dies when he comes back, he cannot die that exact same way. In continuing to become stronger, the character also has precisely what we're talking about here, an unclassified amount of power in whatever power we're dealing with Doomsday. I do not believe his strength sees any boundaries. I think it would keep going if it has to. I think under the right circumstances, Doomsday could actually reach that infinite level strength that Superman has been said to have. The next one I have here is Dr. Fate, and this was another really easy decision. The character has defeated gods. He's telepathically moved planets. He can shift time and space willingly. Spectre has even said that he's possibly just as powerful as himself. He is even a character on this list who could defeat some of these other characters I mentioned without the need of super strength or super speed. In my opinion, he is the all-father of magic in the DC universe. Now we have Martian Manhunter, a character I think a lot of people wouldn't have considered. He has been described to have multiversal level abilities in strength, durability, and telekinesis. He has moved planets like some of these other characters. He has even at one point moved Darkseid's massive mothership, which was like 10 times bigger than Earth, outside of the solar system, I believe, by himself. So he's nothing to laugh at all. I think what would really be his selling point, though, is his telepathic abilities. I don't think there are many people who could rival what he can do with his mind. And I think if Martian Manhunter really entered that Omega level state, we would visually see him to be much more of an alien, instead of him trying to make himself look a little more humanoid. The next character I have is Raven. I do believe she would be on a top 10 to 20 most powerful characters in the DC universe. Also, too, her father, Trigon, has literally said if she gave in to her pure potential, she would potentially, technically, be unbeatable. It would take a lot to stop her if you even could. Seeing what they recently did with her in the Unkindness Raven story, that really does go to show how powerful she could truly be if she let loose. I explained in her unpopular opinions video that to me she does feel to be the closest thing to a Jean Grey in the DC universe, and we've all seen what Jean Grey can become as Phoenix, and we all know she's an Omega level mutant, and that's how I kind of view Raven. Now for the next two characters, technically, I have both Flashes, Barry Allen and Wally West. I mean, when you look at these two characters, some of the things they've been able to do at the height of their power is insane, and that's the thing, we don't even know if that is the height of their power. It could go farther from there. Barry outran death in the Speed Force for 20 years. Wally West, as Kid Flash, ran around the Earth 7 times in 1 second. Barry has ran so fast, he actually stopped time and outpaced teleportation. I believe at one point, and I can't remember what continuity this was, but he even created matter in the Speed Force, and this is Barry. As for Wally, I could go into certain details and feats that would make him an Omega level character in DC, but let's just put it this way. Wally is so fast. Not only did he move faster than Light, and Light was struggling to keep up with the character, he has moved faster than Barry Allen. And I'm pretty sure in the comic books, biologically to these two characters, Wally is just naturally faster than Barry. Regardless, both of these characters have done some insane things. They have to join the characters on this list. I also put Black Adam on this list because just like Martian Manhunter, I think people can overlook this character sometimes. And because Black Adam's here, I do think the older he becomes, Shazam, Billy Batson, could technically be considered an Omega level character. The reason why I'm sticking with Black Adam is because once again, some of the things he has done to really conjure the power he has is insane. I mean, in a one-on-one fight, I don't think Shazam is beating Black Adam, and it has even been shown before he really can't do it on his own. He's easily ripped off the head of Amazo, which is the concoction of all Justice League powers. He has once been described to punch so hard, the level at which he has punched is even stronger than the asteroid that landed on Earth and destroyed and killed all the dinosaurs. He has defeated death one-on-one. I mean, if you already have this power, you do have an unclassified amount of power and can only keep going from here. You have to be Omega level. Last but certainly not least, I have Wonder Woman on the list of Omega level characters. Wonder Woman is already arguably one of the most powerful characters in the DC universe. However, I think if she were to obtain Omega level status, it would not stop and it would only keep on going. Her strength, durability, whatever it might be. The fact that she has a connection to a god being her father, that would only elevate her chances of only becoming stronger in any field that she would want. You could even use an example of Wonder Woman that is kind of like a Jean Grey Phoenix situation, which is witch-marked Wonder Woman, the one where she absorbs the power of Haake, and she pretty much at that point redefines powers and abilities as a whole. She's moving mountains at will, she's opening up portals, she's ripping apart reality just with her pure subconscious thoughts. If you don't want to take it in that direction, if you don't want to make Wonder Woman this almost supernatural force, just simply look at her for who she is as a goddess of the Amazonians and what she can be. She can regularly stand up and take on Kryptonians. She has held her own against Zod and Feora, Superman, Doomsday. She's even beaten Supergirl and Power Girl. I have always felt that Wonder Woman is just a character who's waiting for her true potential to be untapped. So there is my list of some DC characters who would be on an Omega level. There is 100% a lot more characters who could be considered that type of level, that type of power. I just didn't want to make this video too long. So you guys make sure to leave in the comments below what other characters would belong in the Omega level tier. But anyways, everyone, that's all I have for you on this one. I hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and until next time, I will talk to you all very soon.